Hello and welcome back to Moulin de Quinault. Today we're working in the silo area of the mill and we're looking at eventually repairing and replacing the old floor to the rear silo section. This floor has been damaged by termites, by a lot of water ingress. The old silo roof between the mill and the silo section was leaking, and then that rain ran down that internal wall, or the external wall that you can see there. And rotted a significant number of the beams. So we're now on to the task of repairing and removing up that floor so we can assess the state of the joists and obviously repair the joists and put some new flooring down.
I think that floor area was probably one of the worst in the whole mill, wasn't it? It was kind of more holes than floor.
Yeah.
Extremely dangerous. We were really lucky we had those metal sheets that came off the old silo roof. To be able to lay down so that we could, get into that area and walk on it. Those sheets, now they've been lifted, will be used again, won't they, for one of our outbuilding roofs. So it's definitely recycle.
It was good to get these sheets down and obviously allow us to access that area.
Yeah, I think there's quite a lot of the actual joists you're having to replace there, aren't you? You're assessing those and...
Yeah, I think as we left individual floors and the floorboards, unfortunately the floors really have no use. It's one, full of holes, and two, a lot of it was soggy with the water ingress as well. So all that stuff is going to the déchetterie. Unfortunately we couldn't save any of it, but some of the beams we did manage to save, but that's something that we do as and when we're lifting the floor. Obviously if we can retain the existing beam, then we'll do that. Just lifting up these metal sheets on the right hand side so we can assess the first row of joists. The joists span two bays, so on the right hand side to roughly the first window that you can see. So we need to lift enough flooring so we can access the joists, and if necessary lift the joist out completely and then put a new joist in its place.
Yeah, it was all about teamwork that day, wasn't it? And I think I did pretty well. I was in and out of that room across the joists, and my fear of heights and all of that, I am getting better. I am overcoming it. But then I ended up, you can see me labouring backwards and forwards, filling the van with all of the rotten timber. So thankfully we've got a déchetterie very close to us.
Yeah, so again, we're just assessing these beams. I think probably 3 beams at that wall edge needed to be replaced. So you'll see we're removing the offending items there. And then we've got some new treated timber that we'll bring in. And I think put 3 joists in initially. We will assess the other joists as we remove the rest of the floor. And obviously we need to level the new joists with the existing timbers and also the floor section that we have on the left hand side as well. So
it's a huge area to level, isn't it, as well? Of considering on the left hand side there was actually no floors in those, that completely new floors, aren't they? They were just voids, and then having to level it right the way through that area and then level it with the main area of the mill as well. So
yeah, I think that area on the right hand side is about 40 square metres. The whole silo is about 80 square metres on plan. So the section that we're working on at the moment is about 40 square metres. We're just again working our way towards the rear section, lifting the floorboards, and we'll eventually remove these wrinkly tin sheets that we've used to allow us to access that area. A few more rotten joists to be replaced. Again, from a different perspective, you can see the extent of that area as it is. And what is it going to become, Donna?
Well, the area there that we're working in is going to be the dining room. And then the area to the left closest is the bar area. And the furthest away is going to be, I think we'll put a pool table in there.
Sounds good to me. So I think we're just working away, removing the last section of the flooring at the window area. And then I think since we removed all the boards, the next task we need to do is get some replacement flooring. And that's what we're going to tackle next.
I can feel a delivery coming on.
And just like that, I think we got delivered around 225 sheets of tongue and grooved 18mm OSB flooring, and again, because the mill's on an island, we can't get really any of the material further than the front door. And in this instance, we opposite the front door because we had to leave access on the road. So
I think that day it felt more like 500 sheets by the time we'd moved them all.
certainly Groundhog Day at the end of it.
It was, yeah.
And I think some of the sheets, we've got more than we need for that silo area, so some of the sheets are actually going to go on the first floor. The sheets that are being stored on the right-hand side, we're then going to pass up. Donna's going to pass up through the front of the building, up to the first floor. And then we're just going to...
Look at me work.
Yeah, she certainly had her shredded wheat that day, so...
We look like little ants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, thankfully, the bridge is currently closed. It's undergoing renovation, and I think we're kind of very lucky with the timing of that, because we've managed to use this area for our own material deliveries, for access for the concrete pump when we're doing the terrace and when we're doing the Foss septic tank installation. So I think they're back on with renovating the bridge, and probably another 2 or 3 months that we'll have the luxury of access right at the front of the property.
Yeah, it's been so helpful being able to have that access, hasn't it? And because we have blocked the road on numerous occasions.
Thankfully, we've got good neighbours. In fact, there are really no neighbours.
No neighbours.
So that has
Even
its advantages. Yeah.
Yeah. If only we could get it all laid that quickly.
Yeah, but again, at least that's one of the tasks, that it's in the mill now, and we can install it to our heart's content. So
yeah, it's also great kind of having the big access windows and things like that, isn't it? Of being able to get materials through and upstairs, and obviously the trapdoors and that we have inside and that as well, which we're going to relocate and restore, aren't we, and put them back in. So they're very handy when you're trying to move materials or furniture and that throughout the mill.
So we're just cheating here, just use the pallet truck to get that last 20 or 30 sheets across to the mill, and then they're up and in the right location. So
here we go. Look at that girl work. My arms are aching that day. And my knee, because I kept balancing them on my knee.
Almost done. On to the hard work now of actually installing the floor.
Hello, welcome back to Mill under Quino. We are going to start laying our subfloor today. So previously we removed all the rotten flooring and we've replaced a number of the joists. The new yellow ones are new. So we've got some OSB 18mm flooring. We're going to bring it in and we're going to start just laying in this corner. So we'll start laying here. I'm not sure if this wall's square, so we'll try and square up the wall first. Get the first run through here, and then we'll work our way along and navigate across the beams and the posts that are in the way, and then we'll try and get as much as we can done today. This area here is going to be, in fact this area is going to be the dining room. This area here is going to be a kind of bar area, I think. That is the bar.
So we're just getting ready, doing some prep work, removing some of the old joists that we didn't need, and some, this is chipboard flooring. We're actually going to use that for the bar area, not for the dining room and the area opposite. So we're just moving these sheets out of the way, but they're useful just so we've got a working platform to stand on. Just clearing off all the debris from the joists, and making preparations to bring in some of the OSB, using our leaf blower here just to speed up the process of getting all that dust off the joist but into the air. At least it'll settle somewhere else, so that's fine. And then we're going to bring all the OSB flooring in that we need. We were going to start right up to the wall side here, but again, as I envisaged, that the wall's not square to the rear wall, so I think what we'll eventually decided to do is just bring that first run off the wall by 300-400 millimeters, and then we can actually use a cut and do the cuts last, so we can really progress with the full sheets or the straight sheets. Again, it's relatively straightforward in terms of the OSB. It's tongued and grooved on all four sides, so you don't need the end of the board to sit on a joist. So it can span and right across the void, and you just put that tongue and groove in. And then obviously the next row slots in as well. You obviously stagger the joints because it's good practice just to not have any tongue and groove joints next to each other on the short length. So we just use a cut for the first one, and then the next one we put in, the joints are then staggered. I think the first 2 or 3 lengths are that's going to set whether the whole room's square, so it's important just to take time and get the first 2 rows in a good position. These are currently loose fitted, we just wanted to size them up, and then relatively comfortable with how they're fitting. So again, we're just going to get the fixings and we're going to screw them into the joist to secure them in place. Thankfully we've got Jeff here on the left hand side just feeding me with other sheets of OSB, so it helps when you've got a friend just coming to do a bit of labouring for you, and it was a great help here. So just tapping the joists in as well, just tapping the flooring in just to make that tongue and groove a tight fit, and then working our way towards the camera, squaring them up and just making sure that the joints are nice and square. So you see we've made reasonable progress there. We've moved the camera around to the opposite wall, and we're just continuing. This is a tricky section where you're cutting round the joists and also cutting round the columns. Obviously these columns were the old support walls for the silos, which we have decided to retain, and we need to work around them because it's supporting the floor above. So again, we just need to try and stagger the boards again, as we said before, and then we've got a detail just try and cut around this column. Again here, because we're spanning between the old silo areas, we decided just to put some additional timbers in to bridge the gap between the joists. Now these boards can span 500 millimeters at least, but we just felt there was a bit of bounce there, so we've just put some additional timbers across the joist and joining the two together across that void, so just add some additional support, because it would have annoyed me otherwise had I not done that and there was a bit of bouncing in the floor in that area. So only took about another 10 minutes, but I think well worth doing just to ensure that we've got a solid subfloor underneath for whatever we decide to put on top. So this is a tricky one, just trying to cut that round the column. The column's unfortunately not square, there's not really a right angle on it, so a bit of trial and error here till we just try and get the right fit. So a bit of work with a track saw and the jigsaw, just trying to create that aperture so we can fit that board around the column. There she is. So just continuing with the OSB planks on this side of the column, slight notch just to about 50-60mm, just to notch round this side of the column. And then we can continue on with the planks to the right hand side. So we're just going to finish these couple of boards towards the what will be the bar area. And then we can have a look at the cuts to either side.
So we're back finishing off the flooring. We've got more fitted and we're working on the cuts. We've done one over here, one to do here, and then we've got this particular one. I left it till kind of last because it was difficult. The thickness here between the existing floor and the wall is less than here, and ideally we also want to cut it around this existing column. So, in Blue Peter style, here's one we have prepared earlier, and we'll see if it fits. Get the tongue into the existing board. Not too bad. I think with a little persuasion it should be fine. So that's reasonably well. We've also got to screw it in, and we can continue. So we've gone around that detail, cut around the floor. Thankfully managed to do it in one piece, and then we'll just get on and do these cuts here. So we've pretty much finished the floor in this ground floor area. So we've got the OSB in this section here, all cut around the columns and the existing walls. And this section here is going to be a bar area, so we will possibly tell that, which is why we have a chipboard product, which is a bit more a bit better to use where there's potentially moisture in the floor. And we've got a section here that we need to cut out just to level that, and then we'll continue with the OSB. That's all we need to do. And, along here, with this section in the corner, we've got a few joists. I just want to grout around the joists before I put this final piece of floor in. So we'll get that done today, and then we can finish this OSB. So all in all, relatively quick task once you've got all the joists in. Probably took us about a day and a half in total to get this area complete. But it's, again, everything we do seems to just change the spaces significantly. So probably over to Donna now, so she can start planning this internal space and start thinking about walls and interiors and floors. So thanks for watching. If you haven't already, we'd appreciate it if you can like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos very soon. Thanks.